welcome to Skein Studio. My name is Kristen. You can find me on Ravelry as K10, that's K10, and on Instagram as Skein Yarn. This is episode number 65, and how are you all? Hope you're well. I missed a week last week because I was on holidays and I just completely forgot what day it was. I think New Year's sort of put me out having that public holiday, and yeah, I thought Friday was Thursday and I missed podcasting, and I also missed my knitting group as well. So anyway, I'm back to work this week, so I have a much better sense of time and day. Hope you're all well. It's been bloody hot here. We've had record temperatures in Australia. In fact, Penrith got to, was it 46 or 47 degrees Celsius, which is just incredible. It's almost halfway to boiling point. So yes, very hot weather. Here we've had a lot of rain as well, so it's been very humid. And yeah, I went back to work this week. Well, Paul and I went back to work, back to the studio, and it is incredibly hot, having to dye yarn in humidity and heat. But anyway, I try to get in as early as I can, and I try and get as much as I can done in the first day on Monday. And then, yes, whatever's left over, I sort of get in early the next day and finish it off. So it's incredibly hot. But it's all good. I'm actually really excited to be back at work this year. There's lots of things happening, and yeah, I started off with new colourways on Monday. I've been thinking about which colourways I wanted for speckled yarn, and I've been having fun dyeing those. And I'm trying out a new technique, which is interesting as well. So yeah, it's all been really good. Good week back. I do have to work after this. I'm recording in the morning, so I need to get this done and then head in and finish off work. But yeah, I have lots of knitting and sewing to show you this week. I might as well start off with my finished object. I finished the Portage cardigan. If you've been watching the podcast, you will know this very well because I've been talking about this for quite some time. This is a pattern by Dandelion Girl on Ravelry, and her name is Melissa Schaschwary, I think. Anyway, I'll put a link in and you'll be able to find the pattern. But this is the cardigan, all done. It is absolutely, like I said on Instagram, this is the coziest cardigan that I own. It is just amazing. It's really long. It hits about mid-hip, which is really nice. The sleeves are extra long, so you knit this 1x1 tube for the cuff, and I think that's 8 inches. And you do this row here, which is a row of knit, and it's a turning row. So when you turn it over, like that, it has this nice edge where it's turned over. And it's great. I love long sleeves in winter. These are also really quite chunky sleeves too, so you can push them up, which is great. And yeah, the pockets are fantastic. They worked out really well. I wasn't quite sure if my sewing was that great on the pocket, whether I'd done it right, but it's all nice. Oh, you can see a little bit there where I've sewn just up there. You need to sew a couple of inches at the end here just to kind of keep it stable, the pocket. And yeah, and the lovely texture on the back. It's just fantastic. I loved knitting this cardigan. It's funny because a lot of people on Ravelry and a lot of people on Instagram actually mentioned that it was a labour of love. And I didn't find that at all. I actually really enjoyed the process of knitting this. Yes, there's a lot of stockinette stitch and there's a lot of garter stitch, but honestly, I really enjoyed it, and I thought, I was actually thinking the other day how good it was taking this away with me when we went to Perth for Christmas, because it's a simple design in the sense it's just a regular raglan cardigan, but it is repetitive. So if you are travelling somewhere, it's a great project to take with you, because if you're on a plane and you just need something to do, you don't need to concentrate on the pattern, this is perfect. I really enjoyed it. I actually got quite a lot of this garter stitch front band done on the plane going to Perth. And yes, when I was away with family, I could pick this up and just do a few rows and put it down. I didn't really have to look at the pattern. So yeah, it is a bulky travelling project because it's quite heavy, but I still managed to do it and it all fit in a little bag. So yeah. Anyway, that is the Portage Cardigan by Melissa Schaschwary, and I highly recommend it. I loved it. So that was my last make for 2017, and then 2018 rolled around and I cast on a new project on the 1st of January, and this is the Embruns cardigan by Emilie. And I've done quite a lot of work. See it here? So I've done the top section and the neck. Probably better if I showed you that way around. And I've done the raglan sleeves, and I've separated the sleeves and the body, and now I'm just knitting the body. From here on in it's really easy. I just keep knitting until I get to the length that I like, and I'm pretty sure it ends with a 2x2 rib or something like that. So yeah, it's really easy, and then of course I just got to do the sleeves. So it would be a really quick knit, but the cardigan pattern itself is not easy to follow, I'll be honest. It's written by a native French speaker, so it's been translated, and I think a lot of the instructions have been sort of lost in translation. There's a lot of misguided, oh not misguided, but misleading kind of instructions. For instance, with the neckband, you knit one half, and then it says pick up from the cast on edge, which is here, and then you knit the other half, that's all fine, and then it says from the cast on edge pick up and knit so many stitches. And it took me a minute to realise it wasn't the cast on edge, that we're actually talking about the side edge of the neckband. So it's sort of using incorrect terminology, and it is quite confusing. I can figure it out. I've knitted so many cardigans and sweaters that I can read the instructions and sort of figure out what I'm meant to be doing. But if somebody was new to knitting sweaters or a new knitter, it would be so confusing, and it would be enough to probably put you off knitting sweaters. So that's a bit of a shame. But in saying all that, I am really enjoying the construction of this cardigan. I've never knit anything like it before. It's done in a very interesting way. I think I could probably tell you just briefly how it's constructed, because it is quite interesting. So basically you're knitting the neck the neck slash front band first. So you knit one half, and you come back, you knit another half, and you pick up along, it's got like a, what do you call it? A knitted on I-cord edge for the neck, and then you pick up along the side of the neckband, and then you start knitting your back and your raglan sleeves. And then, yeah, and then it goes on from there. It's really, really interesting. It's well thought out. I think this pattern would be great for somebody who's done a lot of sweater and cardigan knitting, because you can actually work out what you're meant to be doing, because you kind of know how a sweater and cardigan is constructed with a top-down raglan. And it's like it's a bit of an adventure. It's really interesting. Just like I said, if it could be rewritten, I guess, with the right terminology, then it would make a lot more sense. But anyway, yes, thumbs up to the pattern. I don't mean to say bad things about it. It is very interesting, and I love how it's all coming together. But yes, it is a little bit confusing. Anyway, I am using the yarn Wren and Ollie. If you saw a few episodes ago, I got this in the mail. It is Wren and Ollie Spin DK, and it is the Cinnabar colourway, and it's knitting up beautifully. I am alternating skeins. I always alternate skeins with hand-dyed yarn, because there can be variations within dye lots which you may not notice when you cake up your yarn. You may not. Then you'll end up with pooling, which you don't want. Sorry, my memory card on my camera just decided it was full, so sorry. I was talking about the Embruns cardigan. The yarn that I'm using is Wren and Ollie, and like I was saying, I'm alternating skeins. And yes, most of these skeins match. There's one that has a little bit more pink than the others, but it doesn't matter. If you alternate skeins, you'll be able to hide it. And yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. The yarn's beautiful to work with. It's knitting up really nice. It has a really nice sort of texture to it. I can tell it's going to wash and wear really well. And I think the colours are looking beautiful. Yeah, it's going to be really, really nice when I finally get this finished. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I was going to talk about the knit-along that's going on over on Instagram. It's the year-long knit-along. I spoke about it last week. It's the 2018 Year of the Sweater. That's the hashtag that you use, and this is my #1 sweater of the year. So if you didn't watch last week, I'll just quickly explain about the knit-along. It is, like I said, runs all year, and what you have to do is nominate an amount of sweaters, and by sweaters that's sort of an umbrella term for anything that's covering your top half. So tees, tanks, vests, cardigans, sweaters or jumpers as we call them here in Australia, all that sort of stuff. You nominate the amount that you want to knit, and then throughout the year you post your whips and yarn pictures and pattern ideas onto the hashtag. My goal is 8 sweaters, and so this is #1. That's pretty that's going to be hard for me, 8 sweaters, but I wanted a bit of a challenge. You can choose something easy, like if you do knit a few sweaters a year, you could just nominate a couple of sweaters. It doesn't have to be a full-on challenge, only if you want it to be. You can include kids patterns, baby patterns, you can include whips if you want to. It's just a fun way of getting together, sharing our knitting, getting to know each other and new people, and yeah, tossing around ideas for patterns and yarns and things like that. So yeah, hopefully if you haven't joined us, it's not late. You can come and join anytime you want throughout the year. Just need to start posting on hashtag 2018 Year of the Sweater. So yes, my next sweater that I have queued up is the Tegna, and that's by Caitlin Hunter. I did speak about this a little while ago and I do have yarn for it. I'm actually going to be using our yarn, our Classy base. It's in the Metropolis colourway, which is a really nice deep purple, which I absolutely love. So that will be my next make. But yes, this is going to take a little while. And I still have the test knit for Hohi Locatelli. I have just a sleeve to do and I really should get on to that and finish that up. So yeah, that's all for my knitting. So now for the sewing part. I finished the Hollyburn skirt, which I showed last time. Where did I put the pattern? Here it is. So this is by Sewaholic. I made this one with the little tabs and the buttons. And yeah, I finished this, I think it was early last week. And here it is. I've been wearing it so the waistband's a bit, what do you call it? Creased. So there it is. Actually the whole skirt's a bit creased. I didn't iron it. I really enjoyed this pattern. I loved the way the pockets came out. I think you could easily put in, what do you call that, piping along the pockets. That would look really cute. I had an issue with the band at the back for some reason. One side was smaller than the other, but I did actually fix that up. I managed to fix it, so it looks fine now. I was a bit worried about putting a zipper in, but that went in fine. It was a really good make and it looks so good on. This fabric, it's a light denim and it drapes really, really nicely. I'm really happy with it. So, yay for that. The second make that I have is a Alder shirt dress by Grainline Studio. I am making this one here. I wanted something that was a little bit more challenging. This is the most challenging make I've ever done. There was lots of bits and pieces. There's facings, there's buttonholes, there's gathering, there's button bands, there's collars. It's, yeah, quite involved. And I was doing really well with it. I'll show you. So I have, I wish there was an easier way to show you. I have done, it's really hard to show you, I've done the whole dress. Oh, and by the way, the Hollyburn skirt, I will put a picture in when I show it, but I don't even need to say that now, because I probably would have already done it. Anyway, so yes, the Alder dress, it's really hard to show you, but it's got the pleating or gathering along the back and side of the skirt, of the dress, and then you have this bit here, which is the button band and the front. And yes, I am basically up to the armholes. I am putting the bias band on the armhole. I just had to finish that. But where I did have a bit of a screw up was the collar. The instructions are fantastic. Like, this pattern just came together beautifully. The instructions were great, it was drafted really well, all the notches lined up, everything was fantastic. And then I got to the collar and one side of the collar just did not fit. The notches all lined up, but for some reason one side of the collar, I must have cut it wrong. I must have cut, maybe I moved the fabric or something and I just cut it a bit off on that side. But yeah, I just had this really hard problems trying to fit it in. I'm trying to see which side it was now. I think it was this side. See how it's got like a little lip there? So the actual collar itself went on really nicely. Okay, so I did the collar and the collar stand, and that was not a problem. And then when I went to attach the collar stand just did not reach across properly. So then I kind of sewed it and dodged it up, and it looked terrible, and I unpicked it and then sort of fixed it up and fudged it a bit, and I got it to that. So that's wearable. You can't really see anything there. And then there was this other instruction on the pattern as to how to tuck this little tiny end bit in, okay? So it looks neat on the back, so you don't have this collar bit hanging out, so it tucks in really nicely. And I could not for the life of me work out what the hell the instructions were saying, and it was just driving me mental. I just could not figure it out. Anyway, so I got to the point where I googled it, and lo and behold, Grainline Studio had done a sew-along with this dress, and all the instructions are online in beautiful pictures and videos, and they talk you through the whole thing. And I was like, damn it, I should have looked that up before I started sewing the dress, because yes, it would have been very helpful. Not that the instructions were bad, I actually followed it all the way through, but being, you know, a beginner sewer, it would have been nice to have that help. So if you're thinking of doing the Alder dress, go onto the Grainline Studio website, and they'll take you through it. It's fantastic. So once I looked at the website and I looked at how to do it, it was simple. I was like, okay, got that. So yes, it's been, apart from that little snafu with the collar, it's actually been a really good make, and I've really enjoyed it, and I'm almost finished. I've tried it on, it looks fantastic. This fabric, I just bought at Spotlight. It was in the rayon section. It's 100% rayon, which is great for this climate. It's very, very light and drapey. I was thinking of maybe using a very light denim, but then I made the Hollyburn skirt out of denim, and I just wanted something a bit different, so yeah, found this and it was perfect. So I can't wait to finish this and wear it. Hopefully this weekend I'll get it finished, and yeah, that's it. I do have a shirt. I don't have the pattern up here. I've got a shirt planned. I can't remember the name of it. There's also another dress that I'm really keen to make, but again, I can't remember the name. The pattern's downstairs. So I have projects lined up, and these are going to be in my Make 9. So there is another craft along going on Instagram, and it's called Make 9 2018. There's a hashtag. So it's just making 9 things. So you can knit, you can sew. I decided to do the 2018 year of the sweater for the knitting, and then the Make 9 2018 will be the sewing section, sewing makes that I make. So I'm going to make 9 different things. I'm sure I'll easily get to 9. I'm really getting into sewing. It's just so much fun. I love it. So yeah, I'm going to have a very complete wardrobe by the end of this year. I think that's everything I needed to talk about. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully you're all enjoying your making and your knitting and whatever you're doing, and yes, I will see you again next week. Happy knitting and sewing and whatever you're doing, and until then, bye.